At any rate, I know you're not lazy. But the thing about all of that is we had an attitude that it was actually a plaque that was on my father's desk that was a Ronald Reagan quote, and I had on my mantle in the governor's office in the Capitol. It said, "If not us, who? If not now, when?" And there was an urgency to everything that we were doing. We always said that you either make dust or you eat dust. And we went at a full gallop right from the beginning all the way till the end. And it really was a great period of time, but it's also great to look back on these philosophies and Thomas Jefferson's philosophies. They've come up with this movie on atoms, which I found fairly interesting, but mostly because of Thomas Jefferson in it. And you talk about the common sense Jeffersonian conservative principles. These are foundational principles. And Mr. Jefferson said in 1801 in his inaugural address, he defined the sum of good government as a wise and frugal government, which shall restrain men from injuring one another, but otherwise leave them free to regulate their own pursuits of interest. And the government cannot take them around to labor for good they have earned. I'm glad you knew that it's clear the sum of good government today. Now, the theme of tonight is defending the American dream. Now, the American dream is bright. The future of it, if we're defending it and promoting it, is bright. If it is coupled with common sense, meaningful reforms and ideas that make sense to people and inspire them and motivate them. Now, obviously, as conservatives, you're going to have to play tenacious defense up in Washington. We've heard from the legislators and from Tim and Ben on the different things going up there in Washington. And you got to defend against wasteful spending, tax increases, and terrible energy regulations. But more importantly than just being on defense, you got to be on offense. You have to be promoting good ideas, good, effective, conservative practices, as well as government. And then when you see the legislators, whether it's Delegate Pogge or Delegate Klein or others, you see, I think a lot of the best ideas are not going to come from Washington. They're going to come from the states. And most importantly, the best ideas will probably not even come from government at all. They'll come from the owners of the government, and that is the people. They're the ones that are going to have the best ideas. Our American dream and our principles, I believe, are the foundational philosophy. It's our philosophy since our secession from the British monarchy. It is based on the revolutionary principles of natural rights that are derived from our Creator, not based on class or granted to us by any king or any governmental authority. It is based on individual liberty and freedom and equal opportunity to achieve personal self-reliance or whatever one's goals and prosperity may be in their lives. I look at Jeffersonian conservatism as the same as classical liberalism, and that is, it looks to improve what the status quo is. It's antithetical to the status quo. We're always having to look at ways to innovate, to improve, to change, and make sure that we're more competitive and indeed improving whatever the situation may be. We don't like to be like a bunch of pack mules doing things the same old way. There's always a better way to improve whatever is going on. Now, my conservative sensibilities buck a meddling nanny government. My general view is so long as somebody's not harming anyone else, leave them free. I don't like mindless restrictions and regulations. Now, as we go forward, fellow patriots, A-teamers, insurgents, whatever you want to call yourselves, Americans for Prosperity, Virginians for Prosperity, talking about process, parties, and labels, red versus blue, purple, right, left, Republican, Democrat, that does not inspire or motivate anyone. Or may motivate some. But the real motivation of the American dream is based on ideas and ideals. That's what motivates and inspires people. Think of yourselves, or your folks that live around where you all live. Think of folks at their kitchen table. What do they talk about at the kitchen table? Families talk about news, or sports, especially in our family, at Joe Geek's family. You talk about if there's been a crime committed in your area. You talk about And the one part that choked me up the most of this, other than looking at Susan and our family of that video, was our troops. You think and pray for the safety of our troops. And we think of them now and we think of them at home at our kitchen table. People care about the cost of groceries, the cost of electricity, what's the electric bill, what's the gasoline price. They talk about education, how's school going. That's really important for your kids and your family. They always talk about the health of your family. And clearly you talk about your job. How was work today? Because that job's paying for all those household needs. So people care about ideas, solutions, and guiding principles that will have a positive impact on their lives where they live. Now, throughout our history, this country's had challenges from the very beginning, from even before we were a country. When we were a colony, we were Jamestown, and the Virginia colony, we've always had challenges. And I believe there are many, today for the challenges, we face many corresponding solutions and innovations and policies that we can adopt to surmount these challenges. But here's what we need to do, and Max Coble brought it up. We need to start our creative engines. We need to start our creative engines fueled by common sense Jeffersonian conservative principles. We need to start motivating and inspiring Americans towards specific and overarching issues that are important for our country, to improve economic opportunities, secure our liberty. Now, my friends, Rick mentioned being with the Young Americans Foundation, and part of that's a college lecture series. So I've been talking to a lot of young folks, which is fun because these college students were about the age I was when I got involved as chairman of Young Virginians for Reagan back in 1976. We were the rebels against President Ford, and we won Virginia. Virginia stuck by principles rather than genuflecting to the presidential seal. At any rate, the young Republicans have just did a survey a couple weeks ago. Good, you got the wisecracks. Rivalry's never done. At any rate, they did a survey, commissioned one, and found here's what young Republicans believe are the top 3 issues: the economy and jobs, lower taxes, and energy independence were the top 3 concerns of young conservatives. As a presidential scholar for the Reagan Ranch, I've spoken at college campuses from Florida to Texas to Illinois to Massachusetts, New Jersey, a lot of different places. And here's the principles that young, optimistic leaders throughout our country agree upon. We wholeheartedly believe that America is at its best when it's a land of equal opportunity for all, a level playing field where everyone has that opportunity to compete and succeed, regardless of their race, their religion, their ethnicity, and their gender. And indeed, it's a meritocracy, not guaranteed equal results, but equal opportunity to compete and succeed. We believe strongly in that. Common sense and indeed history shows that when people and countries prosper, it is with the promotion of initiative and personal empowerment, individual and family responsibility, rather than sapping dependence on government. We believe that the best social program is a job. It makes the most sense. We do need to work smart to make sure we're the world capital of innovation, the best place for people to live, learn, work, invest, and to raise our families. We like a free marketplace of ideas and goods where the people decide who has the best service or product, rather than redistribution or fearful protectionism or bailouts for irresponsible failing enterprises. Now, my modern day hero, the one who got me, as I said, involved and interested in politics, Ronald Reagan, once said, and I quote, "Government's view of the economy could be summed up in a few short phrases. If it moves, tax it. If it keeps moving, regulate it. And if it stops moving, subsidize it." Well, now government seems to have an expanded view of the economy. If it's failing, invest in it. If it's a government program, spend more on it.